You know that feeling when you can understand almost anything in English movies, articles, conversations, but when it's your turn to speak, it feels like there's a disconnect.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the words are just stuck somewhere between your brain and your mouth.
That's a really, really common experience for English learners. It really highlights that difference between understanding the receptive skills and actually speaking the productive skills.
Right.
They just need different kinds of practice, different focus.
Well, that is exactly what we're diving into today. We've gathered some really practical, actionable strategies,
Mhm.
things to help you not just understand English, but to really speak it more confidently, more effectively.
Yeah, boosting that confidence is key.
We'll be looking at building vocabulary specifically for speaking, sharpening your listening so you can respond naturally.
Getting that conversation flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nailing down pronunciation and intonation, getting closer to how native speakers sound, and just feeling, well, more comfortable in everyday chats.
And the sources we've got offer a real wealth of insights on this. We're drawing from expert advice on YouTube, real-world experiences shared by learners over on Reddit.
Oh, yeah, the Reddit discussions are always
You
fascinating.
really are.
Yeah.
And even a guide on clear communication, which, surprisingly, has a lot to say about how we speak, too.
So, our mission for this deep dive, take all that info, boil it down to the most effective techniques, and give you a clear path forward, a roadmap, really, to boost your spoken English.
Okay, so where do we start? Well, let's tackle something that might seem a little counterintuitive at first.
Okay.
You often hear people say, just speak, don't worry about mistakes, just communicate.
Right, focus on getting the message across.
And, well, that's partly true. Communication is the goal. But one of our sources, English Speaking Success, adds a really important layer to that.
Ah, the nuance. What is it?
They argue that while communication is vital, if you just keep making the same errors without addressing them,
Mm-hmm.
you might actually be reinforcing bad habits. You could hit a plateau.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like building something on a shaky foundation. You can put the walls up fast, but if the basics aren't solid.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Exactly. They use this image, the teacher's red pen all over your essay.
Oh, yeah. I remember that feeling. Not great.
Right. That negative feeling associated with mistakes. But English Speaking Success flips it. They say the crucial step is what happens after the mistake.
The follow through.
Yes. Actively identifying it, correcting it, learning from it. If you skip that part, well, you're likely to just stay at the same level.
So you can't just rely on someone else pointing out every little thing.
Not always, no. Becoming good at self-correction, that's a really powerful skill.
Yeah.
And they actually outline a 6-step framework for this.
Okay, 6 steps. Let's break it down. Step 1.
Focus on just one grammar rule at a time.
That sounds manageable. Because trying to police everything at once while speaking.
It's impossible. Your brain just overloads.
Right.
So pick one thing. Maybe it's present simple versus present continuous, or countable versus uncountable nouns. Just one.
Okay, focus. Then step 2.
Step 2 is their speaking success system. Discover the rule, practice speaking it, and then review it.
Discover, practice, review. Got it. How do you discover the rule effectively?
Well, you could use grammar books, sure, or even ask something like ChatGPT nowadays. But they also give a great example of discovering it through context.
Ah, context, like seeing it used naturally.
Exactly. They use an IELTS speaking question example. Do you usually cook at home? And the answer might be something like, yes, I cook most evenings, but tonight I'm cooking something special because my friend is visiting.
Okay. You see the usually triggering the present simple, I cook, and the tonight triggering the present continuous, I'm cooking.
Precisely. You see the rule in action. Then step 3 is the practice part, actively speaking, focusing only on that grammar point.
So like asking yourself questions that force you to use it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're working on, say, present perfect continuous, ask yourself, what have I been doing all morning? And answer in detail, making sure you use have been doing correctly.
Okay, makes sense. What's step 4? This one sounds interesting.
Step 4 is speak slowly.
Slowly. But isn't the goal fluency, which people often think means speaking fast?
That's the common misconception they challenge. Speaking fast doesn't equal fluency, especially when you're learning. Slowing down gives your brain time.
Time to think. Time to actually apply the grammar rule you're focusing on.
Exactly that. It's about accuracy over speed at this stage. Speed tends to come later, naturally, as you get more accurate and confident.
Right. Build the foundation first. Okay, step 5.
Record yourself, audio or video. Then listen back or watch yourself.
The dreaded recording. but I can see why.
It's crucial for self-correction when there's no teacher around. You hear the mistakes you didn't even realize you were making.
Hmm. And they mentioned maybe using AI tools to help analyze those recordings.
Yeah, that's an option too. AI can sometimes help pinpoint errors if you have access to those tools. It's another layer of feedback.
Okay, and the final step, step 6.
Right. Use the grammar you're targeting in your writing.
So reinforcing it in a different way.
Exactly. It solidifies the learning, makes you actively recall and apply the rule again. It all works together.
That 6-step framework sounds really solid, very structured. Okay, so that's tackling grammar head on. What about other practical techniques for just getting the words out?
Like beyond just grammar accuracy. The sources mention several things. One that pops up often is the shadowing method.
Shadowing, like following someone.
Kind of. You listen to a native speaker, maybe a short audio clip or part of a video, and you repeat exactly what they say right after them, or even at the same time.
Trying to copy everything.
Everything. Pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, how their voice goes up and down. It connects listening and speaking directly.
And didn't someone on Reddit add a tip to that?
Yes, C. Lingonberry, 4E90, I think. They suggested recording yourself while you're shadowing.
Ooh. Okay.
And then compare your recording to the original. It's a fantastic way to hear exactly where your pronunciation rhythm differs. Helps you fine-tune.
That's clever. What else came up?
A really simple one, also from Reddit. Talk to yourself out loud.
Was talk to myself.
Yeah. It sounds maybe a bit strange, but it works. It trains your mouth, your tongue, your brain to actually form English sounds and sentences without the pressure of someone listening.
Like a practice run with no audience. A vocal warm-up.
Exactly. A safe space to experiment. Try out new words. Practice tricky sounds.
Okay, I like that. Low stakes.
Very low stakes. Then there was watching TV shows or movies, British or American with subtitles.
Right. Lots of people do that for listening.
But the suggestion here was to pause, try repeating lines of dialogue, and really focus on matching the actor's delivery. Slowly at first, as one user said. Check how close you got.
So it's active watching, not just passive.
Very active.
Yeah.
Combines listening, reading the subtitles, and speaking practice.
And the Reddit threads also mention that common frustration, right? Having the words in your head but not being able to say them.
Yes, that feeling of being tongue-tied. And the consensus seemed to be, well, it just takes practice. Spoken English is a skill.
Like learning guitar or swimming. You can't just know the theory.
You have to do it consistently. Which leads to another suggestion. Join online speaking clubs.
Practice with other people.
Yeah, people mention things like Discord servers specifically for language exchange or practice. It's a place to actually use your English with others who are also learning. Less intimidating, maybe?
Builds confidence in a supportive group. Makes sense.
And then there was one quite bold idea.
Oh.
Someone suggested starting a YouTube channel in English.
Wow. Okay. That's putting yourself out there.
Definitely. But think about it. It forces consistent practice. You have to script or at least think about what you'll say in English. You speak, maybe you edit. It's intense practice and you can track your progress.
A very committed approach. Okay, so lots of ways to practice the act of speaking. Now, you mentioned earlier something about speaking slowly. Let's circle back to that. It came from the Canon voice training source.
Yes, and it's a really powerful idea that often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
We tend to think faster is better, more fluent. But speaking slowly, intentionally, can actually make you a more effective communicator, not less.
How so? What are the benefits?
Well, the big one is audience comprehension. When you speak slower, you give your listeners time to process, to actually absorb what you're saying.
Okay, so they're more likely to understand and stay engaged.
Exactly. It also, interestingly, tends to project confidence and control. Think about speakers you admire. They often use pace very deliberately. They don't usually rush.
That's true. They pause for effect. They don't seem hurried.
And speaking slowly allows for more emotion and emphasis. You can give important words more weight. The rhythm and pacing become tools.
You can add nuance with your speed or lack of it.
Precisely. So how do you actually do it if you're naturally a fast talker?
Yeah, any practical tips?
The article had several. One was mastering diaphragmatic breathing low from your belly. It gives you more breath control, which helps regulate pace, calms nerves too.
Okay, breath control. Makes sense.
Recording yourself again, but this time listening specifically for rushed parts. Where do you tend to speed up? Become aware of it.
Self-awareness again.
Crucial. Also, observe good speakers. Pay attention to their pacing, not to copy them exactly, but to understand how they use pace.
Learn from observation. What else?
Planning what you want to say helps avoid that feeling of needing to rush to get it all out, if you know your key points.
You can deliver them more deliberately.
Right, and embracing silence. Using pauses strategically. Pauses aren't bad. They give listeners time to think and add emphasis.
Don't be afraid of the quiet moments.
Not at all. Being concise helps too fewer unnecessary words mean less temptation to rush. And focusing on clear enunciation, actually forming each word properly, naturally slows you down.
Taking the time to articulate.
Yes. And finally, practicing improvising short speeches, like give yourself a topic and speak for 60 seconds. It helps you develop that sense of timing and control.
So it's not just about being slow, it's about being deliberate and controlled with your pace, using it effectively.
Exactly. Finding the right rhythm for the situation. It's about overall communication effectiveness, not just speed.
This connects really well to our next area, which is about clarity and confidence, moving beyond just fluency. We looked at a guide from the CDC on clear writing.
Right, which seems like an odd source for spoken English, but the principles are surprisingly relevant.
How so?
Well, the guide emphasizes that even highly literate people can struggle with complex information, especially if they're stressed or the information isn't presented clearly.
So clarity benefits everyone, regardless of their level.
Absolutely. And that applies just as much to spoken communication as written. If you speak clearly, your message lands better.
So what principles from clear writing can we apply to speaking?
One big one is speaking for your audience. The guide recommends using you in writing to connect directly. You can do the same when speaking.
Make it feel personal, engaging.
Yes. Another is using simple, direct words. Avoid jargon or overly complex sentences where possible. Get straight to the point.
Keep it accessible.
Definitely. And have a clear main message. Know the key point you want to make before you start talking. That helps structure what you say.
Like having a mental outline.
Exactly. The guide also mentions using active voice. So instead of the decision was made by the team, say the team made the decision.
It's more direct, clearer, who did what.
Much clearer and often more concise when speaking. And just generally organizing your thoughts logically before you speak, even just for a moment, helps immensely with clarity.
So thinking clearly leads to speaking clearly.
It really does. The underlying structure is key.
Now, we didn't have sources going deep into, say, specific vocabulary lists or advanced listening exercises.
No, the snippets focus more on the mechanics and strategies of speaking itself.
But it seems obvious that building your vocabulary and improving your listening are fundamental to all of this, right?
Oh, absolutely essential. You can't speak effectively if you don't have the words or if you can't understand what others are saying to respond properly.
A wider vocabulary gives you precision, more ways to express yourself.
And better listening comprehension means you catch nuances, understand faster, and can participate more naturally in conversations.
And those Reddit discussions did keep mentioning engaging with media, TV, movies, podcasts.
Yeah, and that's prime territory for both vocabulary acquisition, picking up new words and phrases in context, and for tuning your ear to different accents and the natural flow of spoken English. They feed directly into better speaking.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We've covered quite a bit of ground in this deep dive.
We really have, from the importance of actually correcting your mistakes, not just communicating.
Right, that structured self-correction framework.
Yeah, to those practical techniques like shadowing, talking to yourself.
The power of slowing down.
The strategic advantage of controlled pace for clarity and confidence.
And applying those principles of clear communication, knowing your audience, being direct, using active voice.
It all points towards a common theme, doesn't it?
Which is?
Consistent, focused practice. And that commitment to self-improvement. There's no magic bullet.
It's about putting in the work consciously in these different areas, building the skills incrementally.
Exactly. Deliberate effort, focusing on these key strategies.
So maybe a final thought for you, listening right now. What's one specific thing from our discussion today that you could start doing, like today or this week?
Yeah, just pick one. Maybe it's focusing on that one tricky grammar point.
Or trying shadowing for 5 minutes with a podcast clip.
Or just making a conscious effort in your next English conversation to slow down a little, use some pauses.
Whatever it is, the idea is to experiment, find what clicks for you, and take that concrete step. That first step towards speaking English with more confidence, more clarity, and maybe even enjoying it a bit more too.